Yeah, and people would students would sit on the grass drinking beer. There is also, but there was a bias here that I find works against performance poetry. You see, Edwin Bamboo and DJ and Wright, they thought a good form of decolonization was to abandon traditional British structures like rhyme. So he said they told the students, don't write rhyme, everything has to be free verse. But you realize that also actually means that you don't get training in writing musical forms. You also get further separation from traditional rhyming forms like the pantun, the kanaga, the jieqi in Chinese. So, this emphasis on free verse actually meant that performance poetry was a bit hampered.
So it support free poetry or it...
Yeah, they said only free verse. But so if someone sends in a beautiful collection of poems which is rhyming, they said no, we don't publish this, we don't perform this.
Oke, ini yang menarik dari malam puisi dan musik ini. Jadi tidak dibayangkan bahwa ini tidak seperti formal, bahwa puisinya seperti Shakespeare, tidak. Justru bahkan malam puisi yang ditampilkan itu harus bersajak bebas. Kalau tidak sajak bebas, tidak diterbitkan. Dan di malam itu bisa ada rock band, ada juga pertunjukan tradisi Cina, Melayu, bahkan sambil minum bir, duduk di jadi merayakan kebebasan ekspresi dalam bentuk puisi. Tapi puisinya walaupun begitu, tapi tidak terlepas dari tradisi musikalnya juga, karena musikal di puisi kan ada 5. Walaupun saja bebas, tapi ada musikal elemen dari puisi yang dipertahankan. Cuman kalau tidak bebas, tidak diikutkan.
Yeah, and whereas in the Chinese university, Nanyang University, where the student poetry movements actually did lead to a later emergence of very popular Chinese pop music in Singapore, the Xingyao movement, with people who were writing both Chinese poetry and Chinese songs. I think the connection, when we're talking about performance poetry, the link between songwriting and poetry is very
The Chinese opera.
No, like Chinese pop music.
Oh, Chinese pop. Jadi tradisinya justru mengarah kepada tradisi musik pop Cina dalam membangun malam puisi ini. Jadi tidak ke opera. Itu yang menariknya. Jadi tradisinya benar-benar merayakan ekspresi puisi yang baru dan modern.
There was this important space called the substation, which was Singapore's first independent place. It's called the substation because it used to be a power station, and then his plays are in both languages, but his poems are more in English because when he wrote poems in Bahasa Melayu, they said sukeras, sukos.
What suka?
Keras.
Oh, keras. Oke. Jadi walaupun dia menulis dalam bahasa Melayu, tapi dia tetap lebih banyak menulisnya dalam bahasa Inggris. Tapi kalau dalam bahasa Melayu itu dia terlalu keras. So in English you can soften the context of your criticism.
No, he said at that time, I guess the 90s, he was saying everyone said, puisi dari bahasa Melayu mesti halus. It must be. But he was being too rebellious.
Sebaliknya, so it's the opposite. So in the English it's hard.
See, in Singapore he was not popular, but he was a good organizer. He held events. He knew how to get money from the government to do school workshops, and he trained a whole generation of younger poets. I would say this is the first generation of the younger poets who he trained, who were actually able to be much more interesting, much more critical of the government of politics in their writing.
Okay.
As I previously mentioned, the three has its own uniqueness, right? And starting from Miss Anne, your poems actually are based on, unlike most of
just reaching out to her, maybe sexual harassment for you or for you, but family, I was 4,500 miles away from home, and nobody could go home during the pandemic. Everybody was stuck. I was really on a verge of, going crazy because of homesickness, confusion and chaos, and like, will this job last forever? Like, what, this is what I do best. I do customer service best. I paint on the side maybe, but after this, what if I get terminated from the job, or, the pandemic resulted in, no more airlines, or flight attendants not needed anymore. I was so confused, and I wrote that. And it talks about, yes, it's related to me, yes, to answer your question, but for me, the grabbing of the hands and the nakedness of the woman shows my vulnerability and struggles and mountains to climb during that time. Thank you so much.
Terima kasih. Itu perlu diterjemahkan.
Is our true feeling or the truth in our country, because we are under the law that's controlled by the government, and many years ago the government go to the theater and send some performers to the jail because they would like to perform some role play that talk about something that we cannot talk in our country. Yeah. So if even you do the metaphor or the symbolic for something, but it has strong meaning.
But the meaning depends on the interpreters.
It depends on the interpreter.
Okay.
So if you just say, okay, someone is the wolf, and if they interpret who is that one, they can catch you. Yeah. So that is authentic to talk about political issue in our country. We have to just like.
It's like Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay. Do you need that translated? Perlu diterjemahkan. Jadi masalahnya adalah apakah memang dia akan bisa melakukan pementasan puisi di negaranya. Pengalamannya pernah ada penyair atau performance yang melakukan pementasan, tapi kemudian diterjemahkan oleh pemerintah sebagai subversif gitu. Karena kalau interpretasi kan sebenarnya milik si yang menginterpretasi, tapi kalau yang menginterpretasikan pemerintah ini adalah subversif, ditangkap gitu. Jadi itu bahayanya, bisa jadi interpretasinya semaunya aja, nggak suka tangkap gitu. Ya, jadi mungkin belum akan dalam waktu dekat. Kalau yang tadi itu puisi itu memang tentang dia, tapi gambarnya bukan gambar dia, karena itu sebenarnya panjang dan itu gambar wanita yang cuma pakai pakaian dalam. Tapi itu kontemplasi karena waktu pandemi tidak bisa kemana-mana, dan jadi mempertanyakan kan flight pramugari, kalau saatnya pandemi berlanjut, dia akan tetap punya pekerjaan ini atau tidak, dan dia hanya bisa melakukan pekerjaan ini. Maka pertanyaannya, kalau tidak punya kecantikan mau jadi apa kalau perempuan gitu? Itu pertanyaannya gitu. Makanya dia tulis puisi itu dan dia bisa melukis sedikit, kemudian dia bisa mempertanyakan banyak hal dan membuat puisi, kemudian but you retire already ya. Akhirnya memutuskan untuk berhenti dari pramugari dan fokus full-time poet, painter, and mother. So the other one was
you for project teacher, because I wrote poem and I have publisher, so I'm interested to you, teacher. Mrs. Rosen, no, Mrs. Client.
your interest is in the collaboration, not in the person,
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, artworks I want to share as a collaboration.
Jadi maunya kolaborasi.
Especially with Julaya.
Nah, maksudnya mau kolaborasinya puisinya Alizal dengan paintingnya.
Iya.
Oh gitu.
Terutama untuk cover.
Untuk cover buku.
Iya.
The collaboration is we would like you to provide the painting for this poetry, especially for these books of poetry. Is it possible?
Oh, okay, interesting. Thank you so much. All right, probably the one that I'm gonna perform tonight, called "Woman, Who Are You?" because that's very personal to me, and at the same time, it does create some provocative meaning, which can be a double meaning. Basically, the poem is about beauty as a double-edged sword. Begs the question, what else can you offer as a woman aside from that? So it's very personal for me. I wrote it during my lowest time, the time that I don't know what to do next, because as I said earlier, customer service, I do that best, okay, as a manager of one of the managers in an aircraft. What do I do next? You know, and what else can I offer? So I would love that to be featured in a video and in a performance art. It shows a very vulnerable picture of anybody who may need to experience it.
So this question actually answers your question in the poetry. Jadi your offer